Welcome Cancer to your in-depth weekly forecast for week commencing the 12th of August for the Ascendant, the Sun or the Moon. The week begins with your ruler, the Moon, in your 5th house. The 5th house can be about joys, affection and also being very generous, but the host, Scorpio, can also run a little bit on the cautious side. So if someone close to you, particularly with the Moon forging a quarter moon with the Sun in your sector of everyday resources. So if someone close to you wants some kind of support this week, you may be a little bit wary about what their motives are. But alternatively, you could be more than happy to spoil someone and be very generous. But you know, as this week inches forwards, Mars forges an extremely rare connection to Jupiter, the planet of faith, hope, and also spirituality, particularly in your 12th house. The knowledge you can gain as these two come together can be very, very powerful. Maybe you're going to be connected to someone that you see as being very inspirational, perhaps someone you watch on YouTube who has a particular philosophical or healing message that you find very attractive. But also Mars in the 12th house has been dragging up from deep within you some old issues, I feel. And the combination with Jupiter can almost make that unlimited. So if there is something quite tender you've been processing, that can be really raw. And because they're both squaring up with Saturn, the planet of limitation, it may be that some information you hear or something you discover just can in some ways just make you even more conscious of some pain or some hurts or some grief from your distant past. And then with Mercury, the planet of communication, continuing its retrograde, returning to your sector of everyday resources, perhaps reminding you, if you have been very generous at the start of this week, about being very careful about the detail of your resources. Both Mercury and the Sun in your 2nd house, which is about your values and your self-worth, the foundations in your world, but also everyday money, they both clash with Uranus. Now Uranus is a very unpredictable energy, which I know is a little bit of a joke amongst us astrologers. It's not the joke that people usually make about Uranus. But you know, what Uranus has been doing since March 2019 is prompting you to radicalize your future. And you may have seen the players in your world transform. Some people who were perhaps a little more traditional have made way for some different faces. People that may be very thought-provoking, provocative, have beliefs that in the past would not necessarily have appealed to you. But Uranus's clash with both Mercury and the Sun suggests if there is some kind of mismatch between the values that make you feel safe at the heart of you and some of these people you've been drawn to, you could become much more conscious of that as this week draws to a close. So what I would say is, when it comes to some deep, rather psychological, maybe even shadow energies that are bubbling away within you, particularly as Saturn also goes into an opposition with Venus as this week draws to a close, there could be some very frank discussions which actually can be a little difficult to hear. But if something does get ventilated, comes out into the open, at least you'll know exactly where you stand. Or is it going to be you who tells someone exactly how you feel? It's been a real pleasure being with you. Please check out my year 2025 personal horoscope forecast special offer with the link beneath this video.